Great to have you join us. It's still this morning on ITV. We're going to be looking at state of the nation on the Naira Redesign and the economy, how it affects the economy. And of course, we also told you that we're looking at insecurity and the need to tackle anxiety on the terror threats. And discussing this with us, starting from my immediate left, I have the president of AFED, Association for Formidable Education and Development, Edo State Chapter. He's an educationist by that, and also an executive director of African Emancipation Project, and he is a conflict resolution expert. And Osage God Sent Erunse, also a social media influencer. Good to have you join us.
Thank you so much, Phil. It's my pleasure again. Good morning, viewers.
And also we have an articulate and an analyst who is a political economist, and he is Ibrahim Momo. Ibrahim Momo is also a social media influencer. Good to have you join us, Ibrahim.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, distinguished viewers.
And also Ibrahim Momo is a human rights activist. Now let's look at the stretch about the Naira redesign, which is really causing a lot of ripples in Nigeria. Some experts are saying that this is a welcome call, a welcome development that will help to tackle insecurity, while others are saying no to it. What do you make of this? Starting with you, Sagi Godson.
Well, let me quickly say that it's a welcome development from my own point of view. If you go into investigation and look at the different analysis given by the experts, and also it is a common knowledge that everything that has a positive side also has some element of disadvantage. But if you want to weigh the positive implication of the redesign Naira, you will discover that it far outweighs whatever fears or challenges that people may be speculating, And if you look at it critically, the CBN has come to give some very critical reasons, explanation why this has to be done. One of the reasons why there is usually time to revisit the redesign and reprinting of Naira is to stabilize the system. It's not only a Nigerian thing, it's a global thing. It happens in the US and others from time to time. It is advisable.
Like every 5 to 8 years?
Yeah, between 5-10 years.
And we've had it for like 20 years?
Yeah, we have. So it's been a while, really, since about 2001 or so. So my point is, it's a welcome development. And given the reasons that the CBN has put on the table, you will discover that it's going to checkmate the system. For example, if the statistics are anything to go by, it has been said by the authorities that about over 300 trillion or thereabout, 3 point something trillion, 21 trillion or so, is said to be in circulation. But the bank, that is the authority saddle with this money, just have about 2 point something trillion, as in there is a huge gap between what is in the public space, what is circulating, and what is being regulated, what the bank has in its custody. Now, the CBN has come up to say there is the issue of black money. What we call black money are money that people just keep in their custody. That is really not helping the economy. There's this huge gap.
Because the money is not being circulated.
Yes, because the money is not being
circulated. And it's
circulated.
not even kept in the bank.
And again, yes. And again, they have always said that it's going to help to check corruption a great deal. You're a Nigerian like myself. You know what we've gone through in the hands of this canker worm called corruption. It's been a terrible ordeal. So for Nigerians, anything that will be able to check the system, bring sanity to the system, regulate the system, is a welcome development.
But there are some who also believe that even that aspect of checking this huge amount of money, that's outside the vaults of commercial banks, some believe that with this alert, with this announcement, these persons who own this amount of money can make the money transport the money to Bureau de Change, where they can convert it to dollars. Basically, that's what is happening these days. Aren't you worried about that? If that should be the incident that will follow this development, then it means seemingly it's dead on arrival.
Let me quickly say that, you see, there is no perfect system. A fraudulent when people are fraudulent, they always think of how to beat the system. You know, don't expect that some of the persons that are responsible for this money laundering or hoarding of this money, we've heard in this nation how money were hidden in tanks, money tanks, and even soccer wheels. You know, we've heard in this nation how money are locked up in a room. You know, it's just there. You know, don't also expect that these guys are going to fold their hands. Of course, they're also going to be planning their antics and seeing how to beat the system. But we need to there are going to be some loopholes. That's my point. But we need to look at it overhaully. You know, looking at it holistically, you will discover that some of these things are still going to be checkmated. You know, I think it's just this morning I heard you saying, like, is this scarcity of dollar or something? You know, a lot of people are already buying these dollars, putting the money into buying of dollars, assets, you know, trying to ensure that wherever these money are, they are released and chunked out.
And that's causing a rise in the dollar rate.
That is going to even cause a problem in the inflation rates still. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a checkmating. There's going to be, my concern is what happened after there is a new redesigned Naira introduced into the economy. Because we can't keep on going through the same circle. You know, that is where the CBN have not been able to clarify some things. We are only looking at all the advantages. It's going to help checkmate all of this and that. But what happened? Are we going to continue to go through the same circle? Why do people hoard money? And even when they are civil servants or politicians, they can't be caught. You know, the money are just kept there and at the detriment of the system. You know, these are the issues. Why is it that largely, or to a large extent, our Nairas are being abused? You know, who is going in for the abused? Because part of the case of the CBN is that a lot of our Naira are rotting as they are dirty. You know, it's not something you can even be proud of. So we need to begin to look at the aftermath, not just the, you know, reintroduction of the redesigned Naira, which is a welcome development.
Well, some people are of the opinion that the redesign of the Naira is targeted at some politicians. They feel some of them have stocked money and they are just waiting to roll this money out during elections. Ibrahim Momo, do you think that statement is right?
Well, in the policy making process, there's always that interplay of forces or push. There are reasons. You see, whatever comes out of policy is the successful competitor among the multiple options, multiple competing ideas. That's what the government eventually accept about the different initiatives that are coming up. So one of the perspectives people have pointed out correctly is that it has established that the CBN said that in circulation there are 3.3 trillion naira liquid money, cash in circulation, 3.3 trillion. Now, money is supposed to be held by deposit money banks. They're supposed to be the one holding money. But of this 3.3 trillion, 2.8 trillion are in circulation. They're not in the banks. Just over 500 billion out of 3.3 trillion are actually in banks.
What's the implication of that economically?
It means that there is a dislocation of sorts. That money is not meant to be in public hands. In fact, the challenges, one of the reasons why I give thumbs up, some of the reasons why I give thumbs up to the CBN is that there are so many challenges with this kind of situation. One is the issue of corruption. People who are corruptly enriching themselves, they are not allowing for tracing of those funds. What they do, they deal in cash. So the first is corruption. The other one is cost. The cost of maintaining the Naira. People, when CBN announces how much it's used to print, to destroy, and to maintain Naira, people will shout, 50 billion, people shout. But the reality is that if so much cash is in public circulation, it has to be maintained, it has to be moved around, it has to be managed. That is a huge cost.
What's the consequence if it goes the other way?
No. Let me finish, because there are a lot of implications. I've got the consequence, but another issue is the issue of inflation. When you have so much money pursuing too few goods, for example, maybe you are buying goods, and people are complaining that there's inflationary trend in terms of food items. When there's so much money in circulation, this money is not in banks, so they are in public hands, private hands. When you have so much money in circulation, and the irony is that it is not circulate, it's currency, it's supposed to circulate, it's supposed to be cyclical, it's supposed to be moving around. But people are coagulating it. They are keeping it in very inventive, very terrible ways. Some of them are burying them underground. Some of them are putting them in rooms. Some of them are putting them in overhead tanks. So as not to have water, what you have there is cash. In all this situation, money, it is no more a currency. It is not flowing. And the implication is that it will lead to inflation. And then the final thing is insecurity. It has also been explained that these kidnappers, those, all the criminal elements in our country, they don't deal in transfer. They don't deal in traceable transactions. You give them cash. This is how the money. So when we look at all of these put together, it is important, and in fact, I'm more worried why CBN waited for 20 years to do this. So even though they are waited too long, people are even complaining. I want to wonder that oftentimes those who are supposed to benefit from a policy are the ones who most often are used to criticize it. You see people who are criticizing it now. One of the criticisms they have brought, which you pointed out correctly, was that those who are actually coagulating or stealing this money, who are embezzling this money, who are keeping the money aside, they will go into forex exchanges.
Of course, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
The issue is that the money has to be returned ultimately after those exchange with hard currencies to the treasury. Because there's a deadline.
How do you trap that?
No.
Because we are looking at the volumes of cash that may be evading the bureaucration, and is the federal government, certain operatives to monitor this channel at which it is going to be coming?
Government cannot, the CBN cannot do everything. The CBN cannot, if criminals are creative, they are crafty, they would go to those bureau of exchange and change the money. But ultimately, those bureau of exchange will take the money to the banks. Because they're not going to keep the money now. The money ultimately, between now and January 31st, 2023, has to return to the banks. Otherwise, it becomes, it loses its value as a legal tender.
So where lies the essence that is going to tackle this all of
ultimately
this threat?
At the end of the day, the total funds in the public space, which is around 2.7, 2.8 trillion, will return to the banks. And then a new set of funds. And then you can't just go across the counter and withdraw X amount of money. There are limits, even till date. With the ATM, there's an amount you can withdraw. Over the counter, there's an amount you can withdraw. And in fact, what the CBN I think they should do now, which I think of course, it's one of the things they have not said openly, is that they're going to encourage, alternative source of transaction, which is, online transactions. There's no sense. People don't understand. The cost of managing funds is much. If you see a billion van moving around now, for example, you can calculate the number of security personnel who are going to be insured. You are going to pay them for the service. You're going to insure each of them because criminals can attack them. If you calculate the cost of moving cash around, the cost of production of cash, the cost of maintaining it, if the cash is mutilated, CBN has an obligation to withdraw it and replace it. If you calculate the cost, it's not small money. So CBN would withdraw those money from circulation and now encourage online transaction. That way, really, we'll be able to now. So there will be an improvement.
So it will give flesh to the operations on the e-Naira.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Wonderfully too.
Okay, Osage, there seems to be a kind of disconnection between the Minister of Finance and the CBN governor. When the redesigning of the Naira notes came up, she said they were not aware.
That's quite laughable.
So do you think that from her response, it's a body language that they are not really in support, the Ministry of Finance? Because the presidency said, we are aware.
There are things that happens in this country sometimes. You can't but just laugh. Why did I say so? Your boss signed and approved a process. Your boss said he's aware. I'm talking about the president.
Of course, yes. That's
the
what kept
employee,
us,
so to speak, in this case, or the person appointed as a minister, is saying we are not aware, we will not carry that.
She even said that she invited the CBN governor for question.
That's why I said it's laughable, because, see, the fight is just cooking up. There's going to be more issues in the days to come about this Naira redesign thing. Obviously, a lot of persons are not happy. Don't forget, part of the goal or part of the reason why the CBN said, hey, come on, we have to redesign the Naira and reintroduce it to the system is because of lack of circulation. If the circulation is balanced, to a large extent, they have achieved their dreams. There is a lot of money hoard somewhere. Is it going to help the election? Of course, yes. Are there politicians and maybe people somewhere who are involved in all kind of money trapping, so to speak, or hoarding, that are happy about it? No. These are no small persons. These are strong individuals. Then again, let me quickly go into some of the structure I know about the CBN. You see, the CBN does not report to the Ministry of Finance. I think it was...
Very importantly said
It was Ibrahim Babangida that had to do that. There was a time where the CBN had to report. There was a time in this nation. It was during the regime of Ibrahim Babangida that they discovered that it wasn't working.
So they report directly to the presidency.
Yes. So they had to change that law so that the CBN can be independent while reporting directly to the presidency or to the president, so to speak. Now, that has been changed. Now, part of the way the structure was now put in place to ensure that there is an inclusive management is that some of the different financial institutions that are involved in economic growth and all of that were brought on board. Like, for example, there is a system, the board of directors in the CBN. One of the participants is the PS of the Ministry of Finance. Okay. So when the Minister of Finance says we are not aware, and your PS is part of those that sit, it was a board decision. Obviously, the PS would have reported to the Minister of Finance. If you check it out, this is the organism, the structure, the mechanism on how the CBN operates. You know, there are different cadre of leadership. There is the board, which include the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Finance. So if your permanent secretary have been involved, obviously before it came to the public space, there would have been all kind of debates, reasons given,
where inputs
would have been galvanized together.
If I can add to what he has said, when it comes to the economy, there are two strands. Okay. And because I think we are reading too much meaning to what the minister said. There is the fiscal policy perspective, and there is the monetary policy part. The Minister of Finance is in charge of the fiscal part of the economy. When it comes to money management, capital flow, it is the CBN, the monetary policy. So the minister says she's not aware, and that is correct. She's not supposed to be aware.
She's not supposed to be aware.
No, it's not a bit. That's
not a purview.
That's not a purview. She's a fiscal manager, not a monetary manager. And secondly is that she also added that they should have invited the CBN governor to explain, which is the correct authority to explain it, not the Minister of Finance. So I think it was mischievous of the committee, House Committee on the Public Accounts, to be asking the CBN governor when they knew that announcement did not come from the Finance Minister. It came from the CBN governor. Yeah. You should be asking the CBN governor, you're asking the minister. So I think there was some level of mischief there. So the hula baloo around disarticulation or dislocation or non-congruence within the government, it's misplaced. It's global best practice all across the world. There are fiscal authorities and there are monetary authorities.
All right,
and
thank you.
They are independent of each other.
Thank you so much. I think we've talked much on this. Let's look at the aspect of the terror threats that we're having over the security alert given by the US and the UK, and what is really popping up in Abuja. We hear about the Nigerian security forces, arresting some terror suspects in Lugbe areas, the satellite towns around Abuja, and also in Abuja, and the aspects of Piasaka and POE, which shows that the Nigerian security forces are on their toes, on top of the situation, like they always say, to arrest this ugly incident. But again, we are experts, ex-diplomats who have always represented Nigeria in different missions outside the country, broke the silence. And they said that the security challenge in Nigeria is becoming too severe to a point where they can no longer be silent about it. They said that the security architecture should be restructured, and that means the National Security Advisor should be sacked. And we also saw on the headlines today where the National Security Advisor in the person of Babangana Mongono said that we don't have a bad situation as that in terms of insecurity. And that's really causing a lot of ripples and criticism from Nigerians. And the ex-diplomats also said that the service chief should be sacked. Now, we've heard the story of an unending song, in restructuring the security architecture. Do this to this, do this to that. Do you think this is needful? What do you make of this development? Usagi?
Well, there have been endless debates in the public space on the security issue, you know, and we will continue to call on all the relevant agencies concerned to buckle up. And for me, whatever the US and the UK and the diplomats are saying, it's not something Nigerians are not aware of. You know, we've been aware. We've literally been living in fear.
The federal government said it's unneeded. So are you saying that it's really unneeded?
I'm coming fear. See, let me tell you something. There's something we call confident booster. You need to be able to boost this confidence of the citizens. This is beyond rhetorics. It's beyond saying they don't know what they are saying. They are, you know, heating up the polity, or it's not as bad. We are aware that security issue is a global thing. You know, sometimes when you want to talk about in Nigeria, they have a way of telling you it's a global thing. But over the years, if you look at the records, I said even before this news came out, I mean from US and UK, I was in Abuja, and you can see the apprehension already. There was already threat of, you know, it was already, you know, brought out that there is a possible attack, locally speaking.
But the FCT is not overwhelmed.
It wasn't like they were. It was the UK or the US that were seeing it for the first time, you know. So when I went to Abuja, there was already this fear. Now, the reason this tension everywhere, to be quite frank with you, now the reason why it seems to be getting across board is because, please let me quickly say this, you can't take the US and the UK for granted. One is not trying to say that the different security apparatus of Nigeria may not be able to contain this situation. But we are trying to say that sometimes we need to face the truth as it is. The security issue of this country is bad. And over the years, the people have had reasons to lose confidence in the government ability to secure and to protect them. That is not to say that some level of, like the Lugbe arrest and some of these things have not been done. The duty of the government is not necessarily to be exchanging words. It's to put the necessary machinery in place to make sure those permutations are curtailed or they don't happen, so to speak. Because these are advanced countries. They are not countries that they have given some, you know, security alert in the past. We have seen it happening. You know, even though you want to revert to one of few cases, somebody was talking and saying they said Nigeria will split, we didn't split, we are still here. Is that the issue? You know, we have been seeing terror in this nation.
Okay, but with the fragile experience we've had, don't you think that it's a breach of the global standard rules on national intelligence for this alert on security?
First of all, that alert was given to their citizens. I need you to get that clear. If you look at the content of the letter, they were talking
it was given to the citizens.
No, I mean but their own, you know, citizens that were residing here. There is need for them to be careful, to watch.
Just as they've usually done, and the UK has always done it on US, and US has done it on UK.
For me, I'm not seeing it as a breach.
Okay.
You know, that's my point. I'm trying to say that they have a right to warn their citizens. They have a right to evacuate or ask their citizens to be careful. They have done that over time, you know, but this time it's becoming more or less like an issue, partly because the election is also very close. You will also discover that when it's an election time, there's usually situations like this also. But my point is, we truly have a security situation, and we are expecting the government and the different security agencies of the day to boost our confidence and help us see the reasons why we should not be afraid. Like the Lugbe arrest, for example, is a booster, is a plus. Yeah. Somebody will see that, okay, yes, they have
that was his tension.
You know, then again, they should be able not only to manage the FCT. Just a few days ago, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, the Southeast governors also came out and expressed worried over the security issue. You know, so I think the relevant authority should not bother themselves much about the fact that possibly the news is putting everybody in fear. We have been in fear. It's not the letter or the proclamation that is causing any difference. We need them to show that they are gallant, that they can arrest the situation. We need more arrests, like the Lugbe estate invasion. You know, that is what Nigerians need.
Every right-thinking Nigeria should be worried about the security issue currently. But the Minister of Information actually said there's no cause for alarm. Mr. Momo, do you think Nigerians should take that to bank?
Well, the issues are multi-layered.
Okay.
Because sometimes we don't conflict issues, we tend to miss the real issues. One is that globally, there are heightened security challenges all over the world. globally, not only in Nigeria, even in the US. People don't know that there are more deaths in the US, illegal deaths, criminally minded deaths in the US than there are in Nigeria.
No, are there statistics to prove that? I beg to differ.
Well, he has the floor. He has the floor. Go on.
You know, that's another expression of ignorance too. Something that you can Google. How many people died in the US from illegal?
Do you have the statistics?
That is not.
No,
he has the floor. I think
you may differ. It's okay, but that doesn't mean that when people present information that you can verify, then you start contesting it.
Go ahead.
So I think the point is that people don't know that there are far more deaths in the US than you have in Nigeria. People don't know that. But that is the reality.
So make them know that.
So these are things that people can Google. As basic as Google.
I think that's where the statistics are.
You know,
if you say this, then you should be able to prove.
You go to even school.
That's what they say in the law.
Only school shootings in schools in the US. Only these are things that people who no, I'm saying that in the last 10 months, this is November, between January and October this year, and between in the US and in Nigeria. Find out this information. It's public information. That's one. Secondly is that when it comes to insecurity, there's no gainsaying that Nigeria security forces over the years have not performed optimally. If the security traditionally ought to be regime security or national security or territorial integrity, that means you're protecting your country from external attacks. The reality now, in contemporary sense, is that attacks on countries are not done externally. It's not even external. It is now internal aggression. Most of the non-state actors, violent non-state actors, are acting within the country. And then, at the most basic contemporary level, now what we're looking at is human security. When you talk about security, it's about the human beings, not about the society in abstraction. How safe is the individual? How safe in terms of personal security, and then in terms of food security, how is he able to feed himself? These are the contemporary sense of security. So if you look at it from the contemporary sense, nobody can say that Nigeria, even Lai Mohammed cannot really say that Nigeria is safe. Lai Mohammed cannot say Nigeria is safe. But the challenge, that's why I say you have to peel it layer by layer. The challenge,
but do you fancy his way of managing information in this regard?
I think one of the areas where this government has scored an F, the federal government has scored an F, is in information management. With all due respect, the Ministry of Information is a very big it's a regulator. Maybe in front should have been the essay to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu and what's his name now? Femi Adesina. Those should have been the people, because the Minister of Information has a lot of rules beyond just propaganda or disinformation. It has more, which maybe is doing and everybody's seeing it, and now it's not taking too much root upon itself, too much issue of representing the government in public. It shouldn't be doing that. So, but what I'm saying is that the other layer people are not looking at is that in that advisory the US gave, it was disruptive. The advisory was disruptive.
And it could lead to capital flight.
And then first of all, it made it correctly. It made it very open to put fear in the minds of Nigerians, not in the minds of the US, in the minds of Nigerians. Secondly, it made departures so glamorous. You saw videos and pictures of Americans living. They started announcing that Julius Berger is closing down, American embassy is limiting services, just to create that level of insecurity. They did not only do it in Nigeria, they went to do it in South Africa. It is disruptive. People don't know that the day Rishi Sunak became Prime Minister in the UK, Tuesday last week, exactly 1 week from today, that same day, there was an attack in London. They played down those information. They played down, on the same day Rishi Sunak became Prime Minister of the UK, there was an attack in London. How many people heard of it? So, did they have did they issue advisory? Could they prevent that attack? They couldn't. Did they issue any advisory? No. So those people are trying to cause confusion. I've made the point that nobody can say that in terms of human security, Nigeria is safe. Nobody can say that. Even the Minister of Information cannot say that. Even the President of Nigeria cannot say it. It's an ongoing. Insecurity is a global thing. But that the way the US has chosen, and its allies, the UK, some countries within the European Union, have tried to manipulate Nigeria and South Africa was abhorrent, was unconscionable, was unacceptable. Okay. And then you see Nigerians trying to applaud Is it the US that will tell you that Nigeria is not safe?
Okay.
You know, you are Nigeria, you know yourself. But what they were doing was disruptive, and we have to call a spade a spade.
Osage, the elections is fast approaching. We're barely 4 months to the election. Do you think our security forces are ready for this election?
First of all, I cannot say they are 100% ready, you know. But let me quickly say that I quite have a different view from some of the things Ibrahim Momo have said. You see, many of these things he's talking about are not things that are hidden. It's not a new thing for this American or UK to issue a statement to say, there's a security threat, people be careful. That has happened over time, not only in Nigeria. I don't think they are trying to disrupt the system. I don't think that's the intent. Neither was that the motive, because that is the same thing that happens all over the world. As in, a country has a right to issue and say, there are threats, there are heightened cases, and even if they are evacuating the people, it's not a secret thing. It's in the news. The attack you are talking about in UK was in the news. That's how you got to know. So what I'm trying to say is that you can't tell them to now hide their statement. It doesn't make sense, which is the same thing that happens everywhere in the world. If they are evacuating their people, they tell their people, reduce, we are clamping down our activities. It is not new.
But don't you think it's a way to spite our security
It's
formation?
not a way to spite. It's a way to say it as it is. They have a duty. For me, these are countries that understand human values. You know, when you say there are security threats all over the world, I've said that. They are but how is it managed?
But aren't
you know, when
bothered?
you say, we know there are killings in the UK. We know there are there are killings in the US. You know, but to say it's worse than Nigeria, for me, there are no statistics.
So you're arguing that
but
basic
my
fact.
point is
The pendulum will swing back to you, Ibrahim.
No, sir.
But you see how
It's
the
not
flow
a basic fact. It's your fact.
I'm surprised.
For every government to make it right, you know, in governance,
Do you know-
there is need to manage information properly,
Yes.
most especially as it has to do with
Yes,
national
yes,
intelligence.
yes.
Now, don't you think what just happened, like what Ibrahim Momo said, that it was disruptive? Don't you think it's leading to capital flight? And capital flight could basically, you know,
Harm
affect
the
the
economy,
economy.
yeah.
What I am
So-
telling
so- so
Phil,
isn't that disruptive
what I'm
in that
saying
direction?
to you, Phil, is that what they did is only a normal practice. I'm trying to tell you that there is nothing abnormal to them issuing warning to their citizens. That's my point.
But
My
the precarious
point is-
situation we
my
are now,
point is
don't you
we
think
already have
it's
a
affecting us?
situation that because they now say it, already got overblown. Rather, you should tell the authority concerned your country to buckle up. It's not a US problem, neither is it a UK problem. You are talking about what is a basic fact. Okay, how many killings are appropriately reported in Nigeria? You're talking about US or UK because they don't report it. Do you know how many deaths takes place in this country every day that is not in the news space? So it's very arguable to say there are more killings than here. For me, I don't subscribe to that. Because some of these data you have, no country really revealed the situation as it is, not even US or UK.
Okay, the essence of
But
this
my
discussion
point
is
is that there is nothing out of play. It is not the UK announcement or the American announcement that is hitting our polity. We have a security problem. They have to tell their people there is an issue. When there was need to go on skeletal services, they told the public, which is what they ought to do. This is what they do all over the world. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. But
So
to
talking
the
about the
election
election,
thing,
yeah.
you see, we still have a whole lot to do. Like I said, even though anybody can argue that in different elections we have always had issues like this, but you and I know that things are quite bad. Things are heightened. I have said on this program previously that before the election, there's going to be more fears. You know, part of the reason why you see voter apathy is when people start losing confidence in the ability of the security agencies to protect them. Please, these are not rhetorics. If you like, speak English day and night. It's not stopping people from mass exodusing away from Nigeria. You know, the current mass exodus, and part of the reason is not just economic crisis, it's safety. People want to be able to sleep and be sure that they wake up the next morning. People want to be able to be sure that they can get justice. Because sometimes you can't prevent these things from happening.
Thank you.
But what happened after that?
You've articulated the point, okay. Okay, what happens after that?
My point, my last take is this. We must be able to let Nigeria know that they will be safe in the polling units. Because the way it's going now, should things continue like this, we are likely going to experience another voters' apathy.
Okay. I think that question is being extended to Ibrahim Momo. You said earlier that for management, as pertaining to management of information on national intelligence, you score the government F.
Yeah.
And that's fail. Now, we have a few months left, like what Daniel asked. We have a few months left of this present administration under Muhammadu Buhari. Do you see the possibility or the government under Muhammadu Buhari bringing out the magic wand to douse tension that's presently surrounding insecurity in Nigeria before he leaves power?
You see, I'm an incurable optimist. I believe strongly that things are getting better. Things will get better in Nigeria. Nobody can take that away from me, no matter how much you try. So first of all, I have that confidence that things will get better because we have no other country but us. Even those who are quote-unquote jackpying, are also, their interests are still very much in Nigeria. They want Nigeria to be better, even if they don't want to be part of the process of making it better. But they still want Nigeria to be better.
Okay, well, if you have the impression that things are getting better, from F, you said.
No, I'm talking of information management.
Okay.
Not in terms of improvement in security.
Basically, if a country is not able to manage information, it raises anxiety.
It does.
And
which is why I give them an
essence to tackle anxiety from the purpose of this discussion. Now, if anxiety is not tackled, it could lead to pandemonium.
I agree.
And so that could affect the economy. So it all boils down to the present administration of Muhammadu Buhari not able to tackle it or being able to tackle it. And you just said it's called F on management of information. Basically, that shows that it's going to be a difficult toll for the government to rise up to the challenge to tackle insecurity. Is that what you said?
No, there are two issues, two strands, which we should again have to be clear about. The issue is about the security situation, and the issue about managing information about security.
Okay, where are we at security situations? Where are we?
Well, it's a mixed grill. Sometime during this same administration, it was everywhere, the issue of farmers' headers clashes. People were, headers were mesmerizing at farms, killing people. But we all on the set can agree that that one has sort of come down now. I'm not sure anybody who is saying that it has increased in Nigeria.
What's your yardstick for that? Because you're not seeing it much on reports.
Again.
Are you not sure that information is now being gagged? Are you not sure that information is now being gagged?
No, if the numbers of killings that they are reported, we will learn from this country.
He still has the floor.
No, I like to let him talk because apparently maybe he wants to monopolize his discussion. I'm okay with that.
You interrupted me one time. It's not a big deal. I just wanted to. It's not a big deal.
I think that we can. The media space in Nigeria is almost entirely privately managed. 90% of media outfits in Nigeria, both terrestrial and online, are privately owned, including this very wonderful station, ITV. They are privately owned, so there's an extent to which government can act. The press, the print press, is almost entirely privately run. So this information are not something that can happen. When there was an escalation, we all knew. It was reported. All the media carried. When it is also coming down to, and we're not getting those reports, we also are seeing it.
So you are basing your argument on the reports?
Yeah, I'm saying that evidence before us point to the fact that there has been a de-escalation on that front.
Okay.
And there was a time too, on a personal note, I traveled to Benin, Ekpoma, Awuchi Road almost every day.
Oh, you just raised a scare. You just raised a scare.
No, a scare, yes. There was a time too. There was a time too when there was...
We have not waken up from the shock we just had.
There was a time too where that was an almost daily occurrence. The Benin, Ekpoma was a no-go area, for throughout last year, early this year. But now, in a whole month, maybe you have one incident. Because I travel on the road, I see military men. Those who travel on the road, some of our viewers who are listening, watching us, who travel on the road know that there are military men lined up in several parts of that road.
Yeah.
That is giving some level of... The kidnappers have run away from the road. And it's only once in a blue moon now you don't have. So, evidentially, we are going to say that in some aspects, there has been some improvements.
Are you not sure it's because of the flood? Are you not sure the floods are also...
Perhaps it's because of the flood. But if it is the flood that made it happen for us...
Now the floods are going away.
So what we are saying is that... We
wouldn't want to have another...
yes. What we are saying is that the military and other security forces must build on the current situation. If we're having a reduction, maybe it was naturally, like you have mentioned, the flood. Or maybe as I have seen, the military personnel who are lined up along that road. Whatever it is, let us ensure that we keep the trajectory. Let it continue to come down.
Good.
And as we head towards the elections. I know one thing about politicians, like in Anambra, that was one of the last Austin election where Soludo won. You know, before the election, there was so much hula baloo, there will be no election, IPOB was issuing threats. But when the elections came, IPOB withdrew their threat, elections held, and the governor was elected. So I know that one of the things that politicians are very good at, because that's the only way they hold on to power, is that when it comes to elections, they will secure those elections.
Okay. Osage, this government have few months to go. That over time, we've heard them say that the issue of terrorism will be a thing of the past. Do you see them winning the war against insurgency?
Of course, that answer is very obvious. Absolutely no. You know, saying things the way they are doesn't mean you are not optimistic. I am a passionate believer in the cause of Nigeria.
And you're a realist.
Yes, I'm a realist too. But my point is, with the way we've gone over the years, you know, there are reasons why you can infer. There are things that are happening you can use to tell what may happen in the days to come. I don't see this government winning that war, you know. But the only thing I want to say is that is not to say that for our men on the field, they are not doing within their capacity. You know, one time I asked a question on media. Why is it that when you put the Nigerian army outside this country,
they perform
absolutely? You'll be shocked. ECOWAS mission, peace mission, you'll be shocked at the awards and the praises of Nigerian armies, their expertise. But when they come to this country, they are trapped. Because there's the
most populous nation in the continent of Africa. So what do you expect?
Because the fact that we are the most populous nation doesn't mean we should be crippled. Rather, it should be
that they don't have the right equipment to work with.
There are too many politicizing. You know, it's just like, I was trying to say something. There was a time the Minister of Information came up and warned the media to reduce their reportage on killings. And it was in this national and security issue. There were some media stations that were even fined for that, or even closed for that.
So that they can't glorify insecurity.
So they shouldn't be reporting everything of the issue. So a lot of things are happening that is not even on the news space. The Minister of Information came up and they fought that. There were systems put in place. There were some stations that they sanctioned. You know, so I do not see an absolute, for me, I don't expect much from this government any longer, from what I've seen and from what I'm seeing today. But what we are saying is that it is our right and it is the duty of government to protect the citizens of our country beyond politics. Because I've said something that it's election time. See, it doesn't matter what you say on this platform. When people don't feel secure, they will tell their children to go nowhere. They will be voters and party. When people, it's not about whether you think, whether the UK or the US said anything or not. People are watching. We are not fools. People are seeing what is going on. People are seeing how someone can, you know, perpetuate crime and go away with it. Like I said, you know, part of security is not the fact that there may not be the perpetration of crime, but it is when the justice system is so strong.
So you're saying this
that these people are caught and there's a massive persecution going on. People are going in for every crime they are committing. That is another side of security and boosting the people's confidence. So over the years, we've seen that this government have made different promises from different times. Oh, we are going to see and technically defeated and all of that. We are seeing new faces of terrorism from different angles. I am not saying that the security agencies are not trying to put in their best. Neither am I saying they have not recorded some pockets of progresses of victory over time. But what I'm saying is, on a larger scale, I do not believe that this government can abate the level of security issues we have in this country. I am only saying that we must continually engage the government to know that is our right. They must take away politics, ethnic and religious sentiment when it comes to religion, and they must be able to prosecute people, no matter who you are, no matter what part of Nigeria you are. If you break the law, you should go in for it, including corruption. When people suspect the system, that is the social justice system, is not strong enough, they go away and do anything. When people believe, I don't know if you notice what's going on between Yaya Bello and one of the former PDP governorship aspirants recently. This was a guy that was once with the government. Both parties are currently accusing themselves. that
Thank you.
the other party was using them and all of that. So the problem we had usually in this country is security is politicized. There is ethnic sentiment, religious sentiment, tribal sentiment. This is where you are from. These people.
Thank you so
cannot
much.
be
You've
touched.
had your
That's
say.
where
Thank
we
you.
are.
Thank you so much, Osage Godsent Irunse. I think security issues are the issues that borders on everyone, and both the state, federal, they should take that responsibility. And we look at much in this regard. Parting words from you, Ibrahim Momo, looking at the need to have the state government, helping in tackling issues pertaining to insecurity, despite the fact that this falls mostly on the purview of the federal government.
Well, I'd like to agree, first of all, with him that it's impossible for any government, not just this government, to almost entirely or nip insecurity in the bud. There's no
incoming government.
There is no country in the world where you don't have insecurity. There's no country.
So it can't
because yes, because nowadays
you can't have a perfect situation.
No,
no.
And that is
Can only be
painful.
managed.
It's not possible that you will not have insecurity. Because why that is not possible is because nowadays what you have are non-state actors within societies, violent non-state actors at that, taking up arms, and perpetrating such crimes. So it's almost impossible.
Because you are dealing with humans.
Yeah, human beings.
And if you look at a good book which said that the heart of man is desperately wicked.
Yeah, you're not going
That's
there.
where religion comes in.
And then
that is going to help us in this country.
Yeah, to not say that, going forward, I think that it's possible that government should realize primarily that its primary responsibility is security, securing lives and properties of citizens. Government is not supposed to feed us, to educate us, to clothe us, to house us. But what the Constitution requires of governments across the world is security. So they must do their best. And personally, I applaud the security forces for some of the good things that they are doing. I mean, it's not all doom. Because people cannot see the good things that they are doing. We are seeing how they are hitting at all these bandits, particularly in the Northeast. And a lot of killings, a lot of decimations. But we're not seeing that, we're not praising that. But we only see the ones who don't do well. So I think that, again, my thumbs up go to them. I wish that they can do more. They are trying. Government should support the security forces to do more.
All right. Thank you so much, Ibrahim Momo, for taking our time in spite of your busy schedule to come in here and share these ideas with us. And today being November 1, I can only say Happy New Month to you.
Thank you, too.
And of course, that same goes to Osage Godsent. You've been doing well, your articulation, everything. We've always had the opportunity to have you here, and you never relent. Big thanks for always taking our time. Well, there's so much you can take. It's been wonderful with Daniels.
Of course.
We'll do this same time next week, but don't forget, we're going to be having next, which will be Business Rendezvous with Dennis Orphic coming up shortly.